Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pocono Speedway, and welcome to the Tricky Triangle 65 right here on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel for the Output Racing League. This is race number 3 in the Team Watson Racing Setups chase for the Output Cup. You see, at the moment, we have 16 people signed up for racing action here tonight. Most people on the pits looks like they're just starting to drive their way off the pits now for a pit party. There's Thomas Harmon and Scott Rickard on screen. Thomas currently sitting in the fourth, Scott sitting in third. Just up the road from those two was Jimmy Cocker in the 11. He's currently P11. We've got two cars that currently have not set laps. That's Jonathan Hernandez and Kyle Kraus. So hopefully we see them on track shortly. We see these guys. I guess this is the front row at the moment with Cocker and Harmon. And no one wants to share the front row with Thomas, apparently. But Reggie Ortega might step up to the plate. Nope, he doesn't want it either. We might just have a single file start here because no one wants to be at the front. Which is dumb. We don't have two lanes. I hope they call off the start. Looks like we've got a couple of people coming up the inside now. They just got it sorted out in time. And they're off and racing for the pit party. It looks like maybe the 24 there, Frank Isaacson, making his return. He was sick last week. Looks like he had a little bit of an issue there on the race start. Of course, we're coming back after taking last week off due to week 13. Currently a 33.96 strength of field with the 16 combatants we have signed up for racing action. And we've got a new aero model on these cars, and we're hearing a whole lot of tight, especially in dirty air. Very tight, very tight. And if you've got someone right up on your back bumper going into a corner, loose as shit. And that is my one for the broadcast. Everyone go through turn 1. Currently looking at the 39 of James Watson. Down in the 13th position in practice so far. Sliding in behind him is Kyle Kraus. Kraus supporting a new number here tonight. He's got the 99 on board. We usually see him in the 7. Yeah, he's changed to the 99. Oh, as he gets loose, punches the side of Campbell, and we have a big spectacular crash. There's Jimmy Cochran 11 just sliding. He slid for a good 200 feet there. These two still hooked up on the wall. Pretty sure Campbell's just turning right. James trying to power through it. He finally gets away from Ken. And that's left us with about 6 cars still left circulating. But they may as well bring it to the pits and do another one, honestly. was a bit of a smack into the fence for the double O. As Jonas Marquez Mark tried to dodge around him, spun out going into turn 3, and it looks like he's just hit the fence there on the entry to 3. So it's probably going to be a bit of a wild race here tonight. There's 17 people signed up for racing action now as Austin Collins has joined the fray. But he has also not set a lap time just yet. Jonathan Hernandez has finally set down a lap time. He's moved himself into 13th. There is Austin Collins on screen. The Taco Bell machine. Number 74. Following in the footsteps of his hero, TJ Crampton, taking over the 74 after TJ abandoned it for the 03. His time is ticking down pretty quickly. Only 6 minutes left here in practice. Ryan Pizzicami trying to close in on Austin Collins there. It's Austin trying to get to the back of Scott Rickard. And Scott Rickard, who is chasing down Thomas Harmon, and those two have swapped positions actually. Thomas has gone up to P3, while Rickard is in 4th. I think Rickard just hit the fence. That's a wall, Scott. Jonathan Hernandez, 2023. Now Austin pushing real hard right now. It's Thomas Harmon trying to break the draft with Scott. Scott staying straight. And Scott's going to go for the move here as Thomas getting out of the draft to try and break it to Scott. Broke it to himself. Brian Pizzicami in his 78. He's been on a bit of a hot streak in officials lately. And he was also checking up some stats before this race. And he is number 3 in average finish out of everyone in the league who is still currently participating. He averages out to a P7, but that's good enough for 3rd overall as far as everyone who is racing here is concerned. We have about 4 minutes left in practice. Just over 50-second lap times, probably about 55 on average. all the weaving going on. Logan McAnally currently leading the way as far as times are concerned with 52.954. The only one in the 52s. Reggie Ortega there in P2, 53.027. As Kyle Kraus jumps up to P2 as the second person in the 52-second bracket, 52.999, if you don't mind. Kraus with his new number on a bit of a hot one right now. Or someone spinning off to the inside there. I think that was a 24, Frank Isaacson, spinning off to the inside walls that came out of turn one. As Taco Libre man himself, Austin Collins, trying to go for a move on Scott Rickard now. As he gets into him going into turn three. With that, we're going to go to a commercial break now. When we come back, we will have the results of qualifying, so make sure you guys stay tuned. Racing action will be coming up very shortly. welcome back to the Pocono Raceway, or welcome back to the Tricky Triangle 65 here on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel for the Output Racing League. And qualifying's complete, and right at the last second, we had a change for pole position. I was watching my standings and I just saw it happen. So everyone just starting to grid up here on the pole. Logan McAnally, who just stole it from Austin Collins, who was going to be out of P2. P3 is going to be the 2 of Reggie Ortega, with the 38 of Thomas Harmon out of P4. P5 going to be the 12 of Chris Champeau, with P6 the 15 of Ken Campbell. P7 we will see the 35 of Joshua Banks, with P8 the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez. P9 we will see the 11 of Jimmy Cocker, with P10 the 99 of Kyle Kraus. P11 will see the return of the 24 Frank Isaacson, with P12 the 05 of Scott Rickard. P13 will see the 39 of James Watson, with P14 the 9 of Joe Slammer. P15 will have the 5 of Mark Pentacuff, the last car to qualify, with P16 the 89 of Matt Horton. P17 will be the 78 of Brian Pizzicami, and P18, last but not least, the 00 of Jonas Marquez. 65 laps ahead of us here. 162.5 miles, I think it is, that I calculated earlier, something like that. We're just waiting for everyone to get on the grid. I think the last car to grid is going to be the 88 of Hernandez. There he is, popping into the line. As now we start the long pace lap, as Logan McAnally pulling out of line, and I think he is serving a penalty from last race. Just got to go confirm this real quick. Yeah, he had an unclaimed incident from the last race meeting at Michigan, and he starts EOL for this race. So that moves everyone from the inside line up a row, which means now we will have Reggie Ortega on the pole with Austin Collins on his outside. The Mark Pentacuff in 15th is the last eligible car for the Lucky Dog. We have 18 cars, a 35.09 strength of field, 65 laps, with 3 corners every lap. Everyone just trying to figure out what gear they're going to be starting in. Everyone's done their practice in the pit parties. It is time for business. The third race in the chase for the Nextel Cup, brought to you by Team Watson Racing Setups. The pace car is going to pull infield. The first start is on green. All restarts are on the leader inside of the restart zone as we are off and racing. That's a great start from the outside line there. Thomas Harmon straight onto the back bumper of Austin Collins as he's pushing him down the front straight. You can see in the back there, James Watson trying to push on the back of the 24 of Frank Isaacson as well. But the inside line holding the advantage here in turn 1 as a Reggie Ortega gets around Austin Collins. And they'll continue off down the short chute towards turn 2. I guess this one's the medium chute. The short chutes are in between 2 and 3. Of course, the front straight is the longest straight on the track. And Reggie Ortega, look at the lead he's got already. already out to 0.6 of a second and growing. You can hear some of the cars shifting already. We look back in the pack. I remember the last time I participated in a race here in the next gen cars. I was almost taken out lap 1 as we came out of turn 3 on the first lap, as old man Matt Burgess got it a little bit wrong from the front of the field, or he got turned or something, and he came flying back across the track and I missed it by inches. Dive into turn 3 for the second time. I'm pretty sure everyone is shifting every corner. That's 3 downshifts and 3 upshifts every lap. You can see some moves being made here towards the back. Scott Rickard trying to get into the inside of Matt Horton and Frank Isaacson as they go 3 wide into turn 1. Frank on the outside line now, holding on to the advantage. And Scott Rickard falls back in behind the both of them. Turn 2 is one of those places where you don't really want to go too wide at. I did just see someone in the back here going too wide. I think it was just out behind Scott Rickard. It might have been Logan McAnally, and it was as he was going around Brian Pizzicami. But Scott Rickard still trying to work over. That's Kyle Kraus. My apologies. I thought it was Matt Horton. They're both blue cars and they both have similar looking numbers. Horton, of course, the 89. As Chris Champeau is already out of the race. I don't know what happened to Chris, but he's already gone. Also, with the new update, there is the network black flag. So if you are starting to become a bit spotty with the way that your internet is handling this track, then you will get sent immediately to the pits. I'm pretty sure that is active at the moment. So those guys that we usually see experimenting with alternate dimensions, experiment too much, they'll probably get shuffled straight to the pits. As Kraus trying to make the move on Isaacson, couldn't quite get there. Now he's going to be vulnerable to the 05 of Rickard, who's coming along his outside, and Rickard's going to take it over finally. Top two are pulled away. That's Reggie Ortega and Thomas Harmon. Logan McAnally on the back of Kyle Kraus now, as we're watching Cocker and Hernandez go at it. These guys battling over the 6th position. It's great to see Frank up there in 8th and doing it really well. And this is an extremely hard to pass kind of track. It's almost like a road course. You almost got to race the track more than you race your competitors. But there's still obviously that certain amount of racing your competitors that you got to do. As McAnally was starting to work over Kraus now, as just in front of them, Rickard also trying to make the move on Isaacson, and he gets there. Frank's starting to fight back on the outside though. McAnally got into Kraus as Kraus started to claw back to the side of McAnally. Isaacson takes the advantage between the battle between himself and Rickard. But this battle just behind them for ninth is still going. Oh, big time into the fence for Kraus. That might have done some damage to the 99 car. And Isaacson looking like he's trying to make the move on Hernandez as they go into turn 2. Rickard thought he saw an opportunity to take the outside of Isaacson, and now that's turned into McAnally going up his inside. Is just in front of them. Cocker is trying to make the move on Collins, and he gets there. McAnally aggressively moving around the track. Isaacson now stuck on the inside. He couldn't close the gap in time. And now Rickard looking like he's going to fly around the outside and take over the 8th position. Kraus still in this battle, just a little bit behind. He will have some damage on board that 99 machine. As McAnally right up on the back of Isaacson, just about giving him a push coming out of turn 2. He dives to the inside in 3, and he'll take full advantage of that. But Frank, ever the professional, trying to claw back, but McAnally, with the slide job, takes the position away. We'll go back to focusing anywhere and everywhere. So Isaacson now down to P10. But Frank still has a net gain right now. He started in 11th. As McAnally slowly and methodically trying to work his way through this field. He's been stuck behind Hernandez for a few laps now. Snaking their way through turn 1, heading down to turn 2. See Rickard all over the back of Collins. Kraus all over the back of Isaacson at the same time. See Rickard trying to pull to the outside to make the move on Collins. He's got a good run going here, and he might get there. He does. But it seems if you want to make the move stick, you got to go to the outside of turn 3 and get the draft to pull you along the main straight down into turn 1. Kraus hasn't been able to effect an overtake on Isaacson. And I'm actually really surprised we haven't had a caution here. This is one of those tracks where it just takes someone to run wide once, smack it, and spin out, and you get a caution. And then cautions breed cautions, especially when people are on differing tyre strategies. But this time it seems like all is hunky-dory, and no one's really doing anything silly. We did see Kraus smash the wall earlier. Looks like he's got a bit of a run on Isaacson here, trying to take it to the inside. Isaacson staying strong with the momentum on the outside, but he collects the wall. Now, these are very robust cars, but the steering and suspension components on the right side, you know, they can only take so many hits before they start to give up. And hitting the wall, especially on the outside, will just make these things a whole lot more tighter. Down to turns 1 and 2 will go once more. Let's go check in on our leader, the 2 of Reggie Ortega, as he just grazes the fence coming out of turn 1. He has nearly a full second over Thomas Harmon there in P2. That's how much dirty air can affect you. We look now at Thomas Harmon. He's trying to hold off Joshua Banks, who's sitting back there in third in the 35 machine. Joshua running the higher line in turn 3 and diamonding down off the corner. That might be the play for later on. We'll go back to this little battle between Collins, Hernandez, and McAnally. Surprised no one's really trying to use a higher line there in turn 1, as it looks like Hernandez got it a little bit wrong on the exit of 1. It looks like he just let McAnally go. McAnally swooped past into that position just in front of Hernandez just before they got into the second corner. As we're already 15 laps into this race. So I think we're going to take this chance to go to a commercial break. And when we come back, hopefully we'll get some green flag stops here shortly. So make sure you guys stay tuned. More racing action will be coming up very shortly. Welcome back to the Tricky Triangle 65 right here on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel, where the Team Watson Racing setups chase for the Output Cup here in the Output Racing League. Currently looking out the back bumper of our leader Reggie Ortega, as slowly but surely Thomas Harmon has closed the gap slightly, and you'll be able to hear every time Reggie downshifts and upshifts, which is every corner at this point. Fourth gear here as he gets onto the main straight. In fact, I think he didn't even upshift going along the short chute there in between 2 and 3. Just held it in fourth the whole way. So there's a bit of side-by-side action there for P4 between Rickard and Campbell. There's the upshift into fifth. Downshift back into fourth. And yeah, he just holds it in fourth in that short chute. So there's something that I didn't know. And here is the battle, 4p4. Between Rickard and Campbell. Rickard with the advantage on the outside line. Going to take the draft from Banks. And Campbell actually side drafting him a little bit, trying to reel him back. Here comes Jimmy Cocker coming up behind, and he just couldn't get that gap closed before Campbell squeezed back in, and he defends. The defense there from the 15 of Campbell. That's opened up the door for McAnally to get inside of Cocker. McAnally will take that position. Will he do it with a slide job? No, because Cocker's coming back. And Cocker will maintain the 6th position there. This is where the excitement is right now. Most people behind this battle kind of just syncopated out a bit. Although Frank Isaacson looked like he just made a mistake coming out of turn 1. Let's back this up a little bit, see if we can see it. Oh, he got big loose coming out of turn 1. So that's why he let the 99 past. Go back up to these battles up ahead. Scott Rickard has pulled away from the 15 of Ken Campbell. Campbell under all sorts of pressure here from Cocker. The Hernandez was lighting up the radio there a little bit. Probably letting everyone know that was staged there at lap 20. Because I'm assuming that's where the stage is. Usually at about 1/3 race distance, and with this being a 65 lap race, 20 about 1/3, just under. Usually rounded to the nearest 5. As McAnally once more trying to get to the inside of Cocker. Cocker turning this into a move around the outside of Campbell. Campbell is going to lose out on P5 here to Cocker. Campbell slips right back up into lane in front of McAnally. McAnally diamonding turn 1 there. Both of them just scraped the wall ever so slightly. Now Campbell peeking back to the inside of Cocker here in turn 2. McAnally's going to take advantage of that and go around the outside. And remember, McAnally serving a penalty from last race. Had to start this race with an EOL, as there's a big send from Campbell. He gets into the side of McAnally. McAnally's not going to be happy about that. He's losing a couple of positions here as Austin Collins gets around him. And it looks like Hernandez is going to follow suit. So McAnally dropping down to P8 after that little exchange. Actually, no, I'm sorry, that's P9. He was up into P7 and he's just dropped down to 9th. And I think we just found out what happened to Chris Champeau. He had some issues with his network, and instead of it booting him to the pits, it just booted him out of the server. So McAnally's going to have to do some work here to try and get back past Hernandez and Collins. And Ortega is still being reeled in by Harmon. The gap is now half a second between our first and second place drivers. Then it's another whole second between Harmon and Banks. So Banks dropping off in the lead here. McAnally going to the inside of Hernandez with a big send. Gets right onto the back of Collins. Now they go through turns 1. And it looks like there's a battle going on in the background over there. The 78 Brian Pizzakemi. And that is the 89 Matt Horton. Horton swapping to a red car this week. Pretty sure he was a blue car 2 weeks ago. These guys continuing the battle side by side as they go into turn 3. Pizzakemi has the momentum on the high line there. Both of them kind of side drafting each other pretty hard on that short shoot. A move here for Pizzakemi is a little bit harder than what everyone else has to go through, because he doesn't have the draft to drag him along the main straight there. That was a good old battle though, as Horton concedes and moves in behind Pizzakemi before the small turn 2. We go back up to this battle towards the front. Saw the 11 of Cocker trying to make the move on Campbell. Couldn't quite get there. Campbell made the move on Cocker, moving up into P5. Here goes Austin Collins now looking for the move on Cocker. Will pull down to the inside in turn 1. And Cocker's going to maintain the advantage there. Collins couldn't get back up before McAnally came through. But McAnally's going to make up one spot on Collins. Now he's looking to the inside of Cocker. I think Cocker's struggling with tight. But Collins looking to get back around the outside of McAnally here. And McAnally shuts that down real quick. Big bump draft coming from Collins onto the back of McAnally. McAnally once more diamonding down in turn 1 as Collins got a little bit tight, almost got into the fence, and McAnally gets around the 11 of Cocker. Hernandez and Kraus is on the back of this battle now too. Kraus getting hungry, looking for a move to the inside of Hernandez, who had a terrible run through turn 2. And Kraus will take it. In fact, he's going to get to the inside just about of Collins. But we're looking at keeping an eye on these two here. Campbell and McAnally. Now they do have history in this race now, with Campbell getting into the side of McAnally when he got tight in turn 3. Oh, I just saw Frank Isaacson big time into the fence in the background. And we're almost in the window of green flag stops as well. Now let's see what happens here as McAnally has once more caught up to the back of Campbell now, going through turn 2. And remember, race drivers have the memory of elephants. They can remember something that happened to them at the start of the season. Even something that happened 3 seasons ago that pissed them off. What's going to happen now between these two? Campbell looked like he drifted a little bit too wide there going through turn 1. But he got a little bit of an advantage there over McAnally, as in the background Collins going to the inside of Cocker and tricky turn 2. And Watson and Slama have both come into the pits. They're the first ones to blink. Will we see anyone from the top half dozen or so come into the pits? We'll wait and see. Campbell's been doing a really good job here, just holding off McAnally. As in the background, I saw Kraus trying to get to the inside of Cocker. Everyone's starting to struggle with their tyres here. And no one else has pitted as of yet. I just saw Banks has pulled off into the pits. He's the first one from the top 6 to pit. So we reached the halfway point. That's 33 down, 32 to go. And these two have been methodically chasing down Scott Rickard ahead. See James Watson has slipped into line behind the pack behind these guys, as McAnally is back up on the bumper of Campbell. Pentacup is also in the pits. Banks is out of the pits and he will maintain lead lap. McAnally diamonding turn 3 as Scott Rickard comes into the pits. Looks like Cocker is also pitting. But a few cars pitting. I saw Isaacson and Pizzakemi also in the pits. And McAnally has lost a little bit of ground now. Fallen back from Campbell ever so slightly. Marquez also in the pits. If I was Thomas Harmon, I'd probably want to pit now and hope that Ortega doesn't pit yet. And it looks like Campbell coming into the pits now. He's trying to get the advantage as Harmon does come into the pits. Hernandez also in the pits. Now, if you were Reggie Ortega, you'd want to pit this time by to try and mitigate the advantage of fresh tyres for Thomas Harmon. You can see James Watson trying his best to make his way past these guys on his fresher tyres. He's right on the back of Kyle Kraus. Let's go up and check in on our leader, see whether he's pitting this time. Makes a very late apex there to 3, which tells me that he is pitting. McAnally will now take over the lead. No, he won't, because he's coming into the pits as well. That leaves Collins out on the track to take over the lead. So Watson now first car 1 lap down. Oh, big time into the fence for Austin Collins there. We only had 3 cars who have not pit. That's Collins, Kraus and Horton. As Marquez is back in the pits once more. Looks like Collins is coming into the pits this time. James runs up high, give him all the room in the world. And that will now give the lead to Kraus, who will pick up some bonus points there for leading the lap. And Watson is now back on the lead lap, which will leave Slama, the first car 1 lap down in the 9 car. Horton has pitted as well, so Kraus, the only one to not pit yet. I expect Kraus to be coming in this time by. And it looks like Reggie Ortega has actually slipped down the order quite a bit here, as Kraus stays up 1 more. Harmon is in the effective lead of this race, followed by Banks and Rickard, and then Ortega is there in P5. The corrected P4 once Kraus pits, but P5 right now as it stands. And it looks like Horton is still in the pits as well. He's not marked as in the pits on one of my... I think... Oh no, I think Horton got forced to the pits there. The victim of the lag flag. Very possibly a victim of the lag flag, as now Kyle Kraus comes into the pits. That'll bring us back to Thomas Harmon being in the lead of this race. And look at the battle going on behind him. Kraus, sorry, not Kraus. Banks, Rickard and Ortega going at it. And not too far behind them is McAnally and Campbell. So I'm not sure whether Ortega got a little bit of damage fix or whether he just had a slow entry. But yeah, he's still sitting there in P4 right now. He's trying to get to the inside of Rickard, but it's just not getting there. It's Rickard just about tapping the wall there coming out of turn 1. A lot closer of a race right now between our top 4 than what it was before the pit stop cycle. as Ortega still to the inside of Rickard. Pulls it back in line. I bet Thomas Harmon is absolutely loving the clean air right now on his nose. As Rickard moving to the outside lane there in turn 3. Trying to get a little bit of a momentum advantage and some clean air on his nose. As Horton went from fighting for a decent position there. He's 49 seconds off the lead right now. And he's at risk of going a lap down. He's the last car on the lead lap. Jonas Marquez 2 laps down. He's in the pack. Mark Pentecoff, another one who is probably close to going a lap down as well. Mark, who did do a little bit of practice before tonight's races. Yeah, raced against some AI. He was very aggressive with them. As diving to the outside, Scott Rickard trying to get side by side with Banks on the straight. Couldn't quite get there. He knows the inside's just not going to do it. As Banks trying to follow the draft of Thomas Harmon. He's got to be careful doing that. Weaving is not as helpful as one might think. As Banks running the high line there in turn 1. Both he and Rickard just about getting the fence as Rickard getting a big push from Ortega going down the medium chute. Just behind them, McAnally and Campbell were battling it out, and McAnally taking over that 5th position. Ortega still to the inside of Rickard now, as Rickard goes in deep in turn 3. Probably a little bit deeper than what he was hoping to go. But he'll maintain the outside line there and maintain P3. But McAnally is coming at these guys, and he is coming hard. As laps are winding down, Banks is right on the tail of Thomas Harmon. Ortega once more trying to look to the inside of Rickard. He's got a big run coming out of turn 2. Rickard must have gotten a bit tight. But Rickard's going to hold on strong around the outside. He'll maintain P3 here. I think we are going to go to another quick commercial break. This will be the last one of the night. When we come back, we will be going to the checkered flag. So make sure you guys stay tuned. The exciting conclusion to the Tricky Triangle 65 will be coming up shortly. Welcome back to the Tricky Triangle 65 here from the Pocono Raceway, and Joshua Banks has just taken the lead away from Thomas Harmon as we're transitioning back from the advert. At the same time, Logan McAnally has gotten around both Ortega and Rickard to take over 3rd. So it's all starting to heat up now. See Thomas Harmon trying everything he can to get Banks loose. As here comes McAnally up onto the back of Harmon. Giving him a push along the medium chute here. Trying to make Thomas have overspeed going into the tricky turn 2. Thomas, ever the professional, dealing with the extra pace smartly. As he dove down into turn 3 before Banks just try to get that fresh air on his nose. McAnally rode the high line to try and get the momentum up for the main straight here. You see different lines here again. Banks on the inside, Harmon on the outside, McAnally diamonding down from the high to low. Banks trying to break the draft. It didn't work because here comes Harmon now to the inside in turn 2. Side by side, they're going to go down the short chute, going down to turn 3. McAnally has well and truly filled the gap behind Banks as he goes right out to the fence in turn 3. So much respect between our top 2. And now we're going to go 3 wide for the lead as they come across the start-finish line. McAnally backs out of it. Moves back into 3rd. Harmon looks like he's going to try the slide job. And he will take the lead back once more in turn 1. Laps are ticking down. It's going to be 6 laps to go at the end of this lap. Not too far ahead of the lap cars of Matt Horton and Mark Pentecoff. Harmon goes down to the inside, Banks to the outside. And McAnally was out to the fence once more. Harmon starting to pull a gap. McAnally bump drafting with Banks. Banks pulling to the inside. He doesn't want to deal with that. As Banks trying to go for the move on Harmon, while also trying to maintain his second over McAnally. Tight racing here for our top 5. They're all over each other. Just throw a blanket over them. And these guys are throwing everything at it, including the kitchen sink. McAnally just about into the left rear of Banks as they came out of turn 2. Holy dooly. Rickard to the inside of McAnally now. Trying to get the slide job to work. Maybe not. And it didn't. As he'll slip back into 4th. It's taking advantage of McAnally running super wide there in turn 3. You see the differing lines once more. And McAnally now getting to the inside of Banks in the medium chute. He'll slip back into 3rd. Action starting to heat up here with 4.5 laps to go. Banks now sends it to the outside, trying to maintain that outside run, diamonding down to about the midline. He doesn't want McAnally to get the advantage on the outside. And he wants to build up all the momentum to get to the back of Harmon. Pushing Harmon down the straight here. Action heating up. Let's see how this looks from the nose of the 05 car. These guys go for 3 completely different lanes into turn 3. As he gets right up to the back of McAnally. Look at that. And McAnally with the diamond line there. Just pulls away ever so slightly. As Banks pulls to the inside of Harmon. Banks is going for it. Banks will take away the lead here going through turn 1. Now on Harmon to try and fight back. As look at a defensive move there from Banks. And he slips back up into the high line because he saw McAnally coming. McAnally giving a big draft to Banks going down the medium chute. And McAnally looks like he's going to take over the second position here. As Thomas Harmon will have to slot into third. But don't forget, McAnally started this race with a penalty at the back of the bus. He put it on pole, went to the back of the bus, and now he's fighting for the lead once more. Now he's getting up to the side of Banks. What can he do here? Rickard trying to make a move on Harmon at the same time. And Rickard's going to take over the third position. Harmon not looking so hot right now. I think he might have used up too much of his tyres. As I was completely wrong with how many laps were left. It's going to be 11 to go at the line this time. And look at McAnally just pulling away from Banks. It looks like things are starting to calm down now for our top 5. McAnally showing these guys how it's done. As the entirety of the top 5 starting to string out now. McAnally at 10 to go with a 0.4 of a second lead. As they're starting to catch up to lap traffic as well. Mark Pentecoff just 1 second up the road. Look at McAnally just pulling in on the back of Pentecoff here as Pentecoff very wisely getting far out of the way of the leader. He doesn't want to be involved in the battle. So he'll pull down to the inside, give all the leaders the outside run. McAnally experimenting with some alternate dimensions. That's not good. If he does that too much, then he might get forced into the pits. McAnally trying to break the draft now on the front straight. Saw Banks was weaving trying to follow him. So we're trying to see if there's any other action going on through the field. There's Ken Campbell, Austin Collins. They got a bit of a gap between them. Looks like Watson and Slama battling it out here for the 13th position. Watson going super high in the corner, trying to get all the momentum off. And these guys are a half a lap back from the lead. Last car on the lead lap is Matt Horton. It looks like Slama now with the outside advantage. Going to take the momentum past James Watson. Going to go back up to our leaders now. Again, they're still all strung out here. It seems Thomas Harmon was just a cork in the bottle when he was leading. Everyone else just seemed to save their tyres a little bit better than what he was able to. McAnally going all the way down to the apron to try and break the draft. As Banks has disappeared. Banks is gone. Our P2, Joshua Banks, OUT out. We'll see if he comes back. But it's looking like he is going to be out of the race. That's unfortunate, especially at this stage of the race. Going to be 5 to go at the line. That just gifted Scott Rickard P2 and Thomas Harmon P3. Five laps left to run. Looks like we might have a battle for P5. This is the battle between Collins and Campbell for 5th. Got 4 laps left in the race. That's so unlucky for Joshua Banks to get boot scooted out of the race the way he did. Looks like Austin Collins is going to maintain here in front of Campbell. Go back up to the front of the field. And McAnally still just weaving around, trying to break the draft. Thomas Harmon has taken back P2. Oh, Scott Rickard, big time into defense coming out of turn 1. He's trying to maintain over Reggie. Tyres just starting to go off now for some of these guys. Going to be 2 to go at the line. And I found out what happened to Joshua Banks. It wasn't network related at all. His PC just said, I'm done with this, and turned itself off. It didn't want to do any more laps at Pocono, I guess. As McAnally scraping the fence there coming out of turn 1. Doesn't mean too terribly much when he has a 1.3 second lead over Thomas Harmon. It looks like Ortega has taken over the 3rd position. And it is white flag, last lap, last chance to win it or wear it for the 19 of Logan McAnally, who's still snaking his way down the main straight, even though he doesn't need to because the draft isn't that powerful. Comes through turn 2 very nicely. He's not going to be challenged whatsoever. He could take it easy here in turn 3. As Logan McAnally is going to be the winner of the Tricky Triangle 65 here from the Pocono Raceway. P2 goes away, Thomas Harmon. P3, Reggie Ortega. Scott Rickard coming home 4th, with Austin Collins in 5th. Now, I just want to reiterate something here for a minute. Logan McAnally put it on pole. So technically he went 1-1. But he was serving a EOL penalty from the last race 2 weeks ago. So he started from 18th, the back of the bus, and still finished in 1st. He had a point to prove here tonight, and he definitely proved it in a very hard to pass race. There it is, McAnally, Harmon, Ortega, Rickard, Collins, Campbell, Hernandez, Cocker, Kraus, and Pizzacchemi. That is your top 10. It's in the background, McAnally already starting to celebrate. Then Slummer, Isaacson, Watson, Horton, Pentacuff, Marquez, Banks, and Champo. And that is your 18-car field results. Big old burnout here for Logan McAnally. Very happy with that one, as he should be. We're going to go to a short break now. When we come back, we will have driver interviews, so make sure you guys stay tuned. Alrighty, it is time now for driver interviews. And as always, we kick things off with our Autism Awareness Hard Charger Award. And today's Hard Charger started in 12th, finishing up in P4. It is, of course, the O5 of Scott Rickard. Scott, P12 for qualifying. Not very good, honestly, but you managed to make it work, and you worked your way back up into P4 there. Was it all pit strategy, or was there a little bit of passing masterclass that you had to go through as well?
I think I got fourth or fifth in the stage. I did all like most of the work in like the first third of the race. So yeah, I messed up three on a qualifying lap. I just underdrove it way too hard in the second lap and threw away probably at least another tenth or two. That's most of your recovery to start the race, and somehow the tires don't wear basically.
So let's just talk about the race. A very hard to pass track. What was it like just trying to get out there and make something of it?
Just you gotta be smart about when you get try to make a pass, because if you get stuck on the bottom and you're the only one, you're losing spots. So it's all about either getting a right rear or timing it where you can get in front of them off a corner, hopefully.
All right, now this is the second last round in the chase for the championship. What's the feeling like for you as we head into the final round next week, which is at once I find it real quick. Totally hashtag pro streamer right now. Oh, come on, load web page.
I mean, I don't even know what we're racing next week either.
Going to Chicago to end off the season. What's the feeling like for you as we head up into Chicago?
I feel like I've just existed and gotten top five so far in the chase, so maybe I can do that and somehow get lucky with the championship because of it. I was gonna take whatever I get in this car usually, so I already had a more better season than I thought I would have.
All right, well, before we let you go here tonight, Scott, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Everybody puts the broadcast on, the league on, Team Boston Racing setups, and my dog.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming out. Congratulations on coming home with P4 and the Hard Charger Award. And we look forward to seeing what you can do next week in the final race for the season at Chicago.
Thank you.
All right. That was our fourth place getter and our Autism Awareness Hard Charger Award winner, the former champion, Scott Rickard. Coming up next, we are going to have our third place getter. And tonight's third place was our effective pole sitter. You can actually see him on screen here right now. It is the two of Reggie Ortega. Reggie, gifted
How we
pole,
doing, man?
absolutely led for the first half of the race. Then after the pit stop cycle, it fell apart for you a little bit. Was a little bit of a slow stop or just a little bit slow in pit lane that dropped you from first to fourth?
Yeah, it might have been a slow pit stop, just a slow sequence going in and out. Probably would have. That's probably what done it. But yeah, man, I just got held up by Scott there after the cycle. Pretty much went through, and I couldn't get around him. It was just really hard to pass, and the outside was definitely the like preferred lane, and yeah, I just couldn't get around him. And I think if I would have been able to, that probably would have been a much more contender up there.
It definitely looked like you had the first half of this race absolutely sewn up. You didn't just gap everyone; you gapped them by a good half a second. To one point, it was a full second. So, what was it like racing in clean air there in the first half versus the second half? We were in dirty air pretty much the whole time.
That's the thing is being in the clean air. Yeah, I was definitely the car felt so good, and especially in turn two. And when I after the pit cycle and I got behind the cars, the guys up there, oh yeah, I mean turn two was a lot harder, and I think that's what made it much more difficult to get up there. I think if I would have just been able to get around Scott and get around, eventually the other guys up there and get back to the clean air. Yeah, I think it would have been definitely more difficult for Logan to actually get up there and pass on me for the lead.
Now, you also have a little bit of support here in the Twitch chat. We got a raid in just before we went to driver interviews. Vibe Motorsports in here, giving you a big shout out in the chat. So how much does the support from fans really help you out?
It's really cool to see, honestly. I really wish I could have gave him something better, a win. Still trying, and it's just so heartbreaking, when you lead that much and you're up there and you have something good, and it doesn't all line up and everything just falls apart. But I wish I could have gave them something better to see, and yeah, just because of the way that the car is now and the tires are definitely not much fall off, and oh yeah, it was really hard to get back up there.
All right, now let's look forward to next week, the last race in the Team Watson Racing Setups chase for the Output Cup. We're going to be going to Chicagoland. What's the feeling like for you as we head off in what is one of the widest mile-and-a-half tracks we have available to us?
I actually love Chicagoland. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do with the rest of these guys because they are really hard to beat. But yeah, I actually do love that track a lot. It's one of my favorite 1.5s, and I like to rip the top there. But lately, you know, the way this car is, I mean, the bottom has been preferred. So we'll see how it goes and see how much I can put a good show for everybody.
All right, so I'm just having a quick look at the standings. You came into this race in third, uh, 45 points back from second. So with Campbell not having a great race here, this definitely helps you close up. And Austin Dan not being here as well, you're looking pretty good here coming into the final race in the chase.
Yeah, just I don't know, just the last few races with the way that the finishes have been. I'm not sure I could finish it up there and actually get a top three or anything like that. I mean, it probably is looking good right now, but I don't know. We'll see, man. A lot of things happen, and the way Chicagoland is, it's very slick. I mean, who knows? Somebody could wreck out, or have a bad run, or and not fall their way, type thing, and maybe we can make a run for the championship.
All right, now before we let you go here tonight, Reggie, anyone want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, man, definitely everybody in here at Output. I mean, they've done so much for the league and everything, and you, Corey, for putting on a good show for the broadcast, and the fans, man. That's really cool to hear that there's some people out there that are rooting for me, and now that I hear that even more, yeah, I'll see if I can try to give them a good show next week.
All right, well, thanks for coming out, Reggie. Congratulations for coming home P3 here tonight and what was a bit of a difficult second half of the race for you. We look forward to seeing what you can do next week in the grand finale at Chicagoland.
Yeah, man, thank you.
All right, guys, that was our third place getter, the number 2 of Reggie Ortega. Coming up next, we have our second place getter, and he is currently the most winningest driver still currently on the grid. And our second place getter is, of course, the 38 of Thomas Harmon. Thomas, you had to fight for it hard there in the first half of the race. You were starting to close that gap in on Reggie before the pit stops, but then the second half of the race, it just seemed like you were a little bit of the cork in the bottle as far as being out in the clean air was concerned.
Yeah, dirty air sucks, and trying to fight that dirty air through the tunnel turn was terrible. Um, but yeah, I made an adjustment too late on the brakes, and I ended up giving up a whole lot of positions before I corrected that mistake. Thankfully, I was able to work back up to second. Unfortunately for Josh, he did get dropped there though. But I think he would have been a good one, good fight at the finish too.
Yeah, I was going to say you got a little bit lucky there with Josh having his PC issues there. Of course, his car disappearing from track with about 5.5 laps to go. But P2 is still P2, and decent points heading into the final round next week.
Yeah, it's gonna be a close one between me and Logan. I think we'll both be pretty fast there, and hopefully be a last lap to settle it.
I'm just having a look at the points now. Um, so the points have been updated. and you are just 3 points off the lead right now. So very close standings between yourself and Logan right now. Very, very kind of make it very interesting coming into next week at Chicago.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to be a close one, and it's going to come down to that last lap, I think.
All right, now let's just get your thoughts about Chicagoland. Of course, the final race in the Team Watson Racing setups chase for the championship here this year. What's the feeling like for you as we go to one of the widest 1.5 tracks we have at our disposal?
Well, I don't know I don't know Logan's comfortability on that track, but I know I can run high low both ends of the track, and it's one of my favorite tracks to run when it comes to the 1.5 miles. So hopefully that'll play in my favor.
All right, now before we let you go here tonight, Thomas, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, shout out to you up in the booth for broadcasting it to everybody. All the fans drive the show up each week. The league admins, driver council that put this thing together for everybody, and everyone in the hood.
All right, well, thank you very much for coming out, Thomas. Congratulations on coming home, P2, and we look forward to seeing what we can do next week in the championship finale at Chicagoland.
I'll be there. Have a good one, sir.
All right, guys, that was the 38 Thomas Harmon, our second place getter here tonight. And coming up next, we are going to have our race winner. And tonight's race winner put it on pole, had to go to the back because of a penalty last week, and drove his way through the entire field to take home a win very comfortably by just a little bit over a second. And that is, of course, the 19 of Logan McAnally. Logan, absolutely incredible effort here tonight in what is probably one of the hardest tracks to make overtakes on, especially with how tight all these cars get.
Yeah, right before the pit cycle, I tried the top in 3 and figured out you could gain so much time down the straightaway and get up beside somebody. Pretty much a lot of the passes you could clear them up before the start finish if there was nobody in front of them. But yeah, it was very tight. You didn't want somebody crossing over in front of you off the corner because you were going straight for the wall. But it seemed like whenever you hit the wall, it didn't do anything because I watched probably everybody in the field bounce off the turn one wall at least 5 times and it never did anything. So
Oh, don't worry, I watched about the same thing as you with everyone bouncing off the wall, and it didn't matter whether you were at the front or in the middle of the pack. Everyone just seemed to continue on like it didn't affect them whatsoever. But I also noticed when you weren't in the midst of battle, you were diamonding off of turn 1 and turn 3. Did that help you get some extra momentum for the 2 straightaways there?
yeah, it's just all about momentum. You can't lose any speed off the corner or you will get, well, the draft is the ultimate equalizer, but if you have somebody in front of you that don't have draft, you have to have forward momentum off the corner if you want to even attempt to make a pass.
Now, what was it like trying to battle your way through the field? As I outlined before we started talking, you had a penalty from last race where you were an unclaimed caution and had to start from the back of the pack. What was it like just trying to dice your way through all the traffic and make your way up towards the front?
Well, I didn't even see that I had an EOL. I didn't even check the penalty thing, but um, I realized I have a 3-point lead, and that's the same lead that I had after the last race. So it'd been nice to start on the pole and get a little bit more stage points, but I don't even remember what happened at Michigan. Really, I don't remember what I ate for lunch this morning or this afternoon. So
Well, let's have a look at next week where we're going to end the season off at the Chicagoland Speedway. What's the feeling like for you as we go to one of the widest 1.5 mile tracks we have at our disposal?
um, I don't think I've ever ran the next gen at that track. So and I wouldn't think anybody else would have either, unless they ran an official race or something. But uh, I hope the tires wear a little bit more. I hope it's not us running the fastest laps of the race at the end of the run. But Hopefully the dirty air. I mean, I know dirty air will be bad. Hopefully we can run the top and the bottom, and hopefully it'll be a good event.
All right, now before we let you go here tonight, mate, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Everybody that puts on the league. I know a lot of people have said it. I'm ready to get out of the next gen car. I'm ready for next season. I didn't think I was good at it. I still don't think I'm good at it, but I don't know. It takes the entire race trying to figure out this car most of the time. So
I'm pretty sure you're in the same boat as everyone else with that one. But thank you very much for coming out tonight, Logan. Congratulations on coming home with the win and taking that 3-point lead into Chicago. And we look forward to seeing what you can do in our championship finale.
we will see y'all next week. Thank you.
All right, guys, that was tonight's winner, the 19 of Logan McAnally. And that is going to wrap things up for us here tonight. Big shout out to Vibe Motorsports coming in with the raid there just before driver interviews. And he also gave me the follow as well. And to everyone who's participated in chat. So until next week, when we go to the Team Watson Racing Setups chase for the Cup finale at Chicagoland, I have been your commentator, the Aussie Sim commentator. We'll see you guys in Chicago.